What's up, guys? Philip at Trade Genius. Litecoin looks super bullish, so we're going to take a look at this Litecoin chart. It has a really nice cup and handle formation. We're going to explain that if you're not familiar with those, but really looks very bullish. I think if it plays out, you could see north of $170 on an impulse move before the halving event in August. So let's dive into this video and check out the pattern.
Trade Genius.
All right, guys, this is the Litecoin chart, and real simply what we have on here is our linear regression channel that just gives us a reference for oversold or overbought relative to the recent price action. And we have our moneymaker sell indicator. If you're interested in getting that, you can head over to tradelikeagenius.com, and it's available there for TradingView. Now, cup and handle, if you're not familiar with cup and handle, what I'll do is I'll just basically show it to you, and then we can talk a little bit about it. For those of you that know, just bear with me. So we're just going to draw on the chart here real quick. And basically what a cup and handle basically is a formation like you have here roughly that comes up like this. That's the cup part. And then you have a handle and that comes down like we have here, does one of these moves. And then what you have is you want to measure from the top or the bottom, in this case, of the cup formation to where like the brim is. So in this situation, what we would do is we would take the measurement here. So let's measure this move. So we're going to go from approximately here up to the brim, right about there or so. Okay, if we take that and then, so that would be over here, assuming that the move breaks out somewhere over here, right? Give or take. All right, that's going to take us up here to this 176 level approximately. So what that does is it does a couple of interesting things. One is we tag the underside of this long-term trend line. This long-term trend line was really the anchor of the whole 2017 bull run. Okay, so it price on, as far as Litecoin US dollar, essentially rode that trend line. And then when it got down to here, the first touch of it, you can see was respected on this candle, and then another candle held. But again, we were on a very bearish environment at this point, and it just wouldn't hold, and then it broke, okay, and then never recovered it, and then came back down. So generally speaking, with these long-term trend lines, you will see eventually a retest unless the asset goes completely bunk and there's no more action in it. But generally speaking, longer term, you see a retest of these from the underside. So find that kind of interesting that this geometry is setting up to where we would see something to that effect on this move. So when we see this, I would expect this to finally probably be the end of the LTC halving move. What's interesting about the LTC halving move is that the first halving event on LTC wasn't really, the LTC was pretty under the radar at that point. Most of the action was focused on Bitcoin. So all of the Bitcoin halving events have been very regular as far as how the cycles have been. This one's interesting because obviously Litecoin is far more recognizable now than back in its previous halving event. And so not only are we going to have the LTC halving, that's going to segue right into the Litecoin or the Bitcoin halving event. So it'll be interesting to see how it reacts once it does this move, which I think has a probably high probability of happening, because Litecoin, as you can see, it can really get going. Again, with all these moves in Litecoin, you really want to make sure you're taking profits. Litecoin is a great mover, but it also does a fair share of pulling back. I mean, even in this move up here, you would have done well to take profits somewhere in this area. Now it's pulled back, you can reload. Unless you're just going to go for a real long swing, but shorter term swing trading on Litecoin, when you get these big, nice little thrust moves, it's good to trail your stop up. But I think this has, the geometry on this is very bullish. Volume's looking good. And I think this is a very classic, if we zoom in on this area here too, this is a very classic part of how the cup forms, or the handle forms. Very classic shape there. It just looks really bullish, guys. So we'd be looking for a move, this area to hold, so the $74, $75 area to hold. The caveat here is we do have a volume void, so if there was some weakness or if Bitcoin decided to pull back some and this level didn't hold, I think this would be an area of a screaming buy down to the $64 area. But you could just dollar cost average in the zone. But I think this whole zone here holds. I really think it's probably unlikely that we see sub $74. It could happen, but I just think that that's probably a pretty strong level here. Unless BTC gets really weak, that should hold. And dollar cost average in there. Again, this is going to be probably stage 2 of the swing trade on this halving move. But that's, to me, looking like a really sweet setup. A lot of reasons why, technically speaking, that we could see that. And again, this is very, don't underestimate Litecoin's moves. They can be very explosive, and they usually happen very quickly. So if you're not in it, you're probably going to miss it. Okay. So anyway, I thought I'd put that out there because this cup and handle is really starting to shape up on Litecoin. And Litecoin, Bitcoin, LTC, BTC looks pretty, pretty similar. If we look at it, same kind of shape forming up here. And so if you're looking at it from the Bitcoin standpoint, putting some Bitcoin to work on that, same shape, same setup. Interestingly, on this measured move, so if we take, if we take this level, okay, let's just say the brim of the cup is here, roughly. So this level here is, if we take the move here to there, okay, roughly, and we move that up, that's actually showing us a measured move up to 0.03, which would be new all-time highs against Bitcoin. So that's pretty interesting. That's a pretty decent move there, 62%. Not too shabby, not too shabby at all. But again, Litecoin's pretty explosive. Thing to keep in mind with Litecoin, that would be getting into the historically very expensive range on Litecoin, because we basically that's going to be over the all-time highs, and generally when these levels get hit, you can expect a decent pullback. So just be mindful of when you're trading, if we do start getting that kind of a parabolic jump toward the end there, of trailing up your stops. All right, but we're talking over the course of several weeks here, guys. Okay, so that's it for Litecoin. I just thought very clear bullish chart here, and I think it'd be wise if you have exited Litecoin or you're looking to get into it at this point, but you're thinking, well, maybe it's gone too far so in the cycle. Don't count it out here just yet. I think there's plenty left in the tank for sure on this move. I do think that the move probably exhausts prior to the halving. A lot of times during the halving events, you'll get a sell-off before it, and then there's the halving event itself can be somewhat uneventful. You'll see sideways action or even some downside action through it. Then you start seeing a resumption of the trend longer term. So, all right, guys, well, that's it for this video. Again, if you're interested in the indicators on here, Moneymaker, go over to tradelikeagenius.com, and they are available there. As always, love that you guys are watching our videos. Please hit like and subscribe. We appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Bye.
Trade Genius.